She has been in jail off and on for 169 days since her son, Lonzie Barton, was reported missing. Now, Lana Barton has been sentenced for her role in the toddler's death.
Based on your plea of guilty to count 2, the third-degree felony of child neglect, portable adjudication guilty, sentence you to 5 years in Florida State Prison.
The father of Barton's boyfriend disappointed with her punishment.
I've been totally disgusted from the beginning of how everything or whatever went down.
A visibly upset William Ebron Sr. speaking to our cameras right after Lana Barton was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
The maximum penalty for child neglect was 5 years. The maximum for lying to police, 1 year. The judge gave her the maximum on both, but she will serve the 2 sentences concurrently. That means together. Our team of reporters were inside the courtroom for the sentencing. Channel 4's Jim Pickett, he spoke with Ebron's parents. But we begin with Channel 4's Chris Parento. Chris, what was Barton's reaction when she was sentenced?
Lana Barton had almost no reaction throughout the entire hearing when that sentence was read, and before that, when her defense team and prosecutors were trying to make their case to the judge for why the sentence should be what they were requesting. Lana Barton is back in the Baker County Jail tonight, transported there after the hearing. Her parents were in court today, the first time they have been in court for one of her hearings. After she was sentenced, they had no comment.
In court, Lana Barton's attorney argued that because she was cooperative with investigators and agreed to testify and did so against Ruben Ebron, that she should only be sentenced to 1 year in county jail. The judge disagreed, sentencing her to the maximum allowable.
You can't really ever say that justice would be Lonzie still with us. Justice would be that child in the arms of a loving family.
Barton's attorney said that she faked a pregnancy, hoping that once Ruben Ebron found out that she was pregnant, he would lead investigators to where Lonzie's body was. Prosecutor Rich Manti called it a charade and said that she acted in her own self-interest from the start. He also says that part of the frustration is that no definitive truth about what happened is coming out.
When you don't have the ability to do that because people lie, because people withhold, because people delay for months and months and months before they come forward, and because even when they do come forward, their story conflicts with other things, yes, it's frustrating. But I think more frustrating is the fact that there's a little child dead who should still be with us.
Manti said in court that there were pictures on Ebron's cell phone showing injuries to Lonzie's head and an abdominal bruise that their experts said could have been potentially life-threatening.
Unfortunately, Larry, there were a number of folks who would have had exposure to Lonzie Barton during the time frame that those injuries could have been inflicted. So if you're asking me, can I pinpoint any single injury to any single person, I don't think the evidence supports being able to do that.
Again, Lana Barton's parents told me they had no response when I asked them their thoughts on the sentencing. Her attorney tried to say that they were going to testify. Her parents were going to testify at this hearing, but they chose not to. Instead, they just wanted to be there to support their daughter. Lana Barton's attorney also had no comment after the sentencing. Live at the Duval County Courthouse, I'm Chris Parento, Channel 4, the local station.
So, Chris, did the judge explain why Barton is going to serve the 1 year for lying to police concurrently with the 5 years for child neglect instead of consecutively, which would make her sentence 6 years total?
He did explain that, and that was part of her plea that she entered of guilty. That was decided between the state and between the defense that those could be served consecutively, or concurrently, excuse me, rather than consecutively.
All right. Chris Parento reporting live for us tonight. Chris, thank you.
We continue our coverage with Channel 4's Jim Pickett, who was also in the courtroom today, and afterward he spoke with the parents of Ruben Ebron. Jim is joining us live from the courthouse downtown. Jim?
You know, Tom, the first words out of their mouth that this is unfair. They believe that Lana Barton should have received more in this sentence, and they also believe that she knows a lot more than what she told authorities. I asked Ruben Ebron's parents if they were angry. His father said not really angry, but disappointed. From the start of this, both he and his wife, Wanda, have stood behind their son and were surprised when they learned he was responsible for the death of the little boy. But now they say Lana is equally involved.
I'm just disgusted. I've been totally disgusted from the beginning of how everything or whatever went down. And angry to a point, but more hurt and disgusted because there's a child missing, a child that's gone that'll never be back.
Wanda Ebron says she built a trust with Lana, but that trust turned into a lie. And she's upset to hear the picture Lana Barton's attorney painted of her.
It seemed to me like he was talking about somebody else, like Mother Teresa. I'm like, Lana is no, innocent person.
And both say they have been in contact with their son.
I talked to him a few days ago.
What did he tell you?
About?
I mean, did he talk about this? Did he talk about Lana?
We didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about Lana. We talked about his kids and school and things of that nature.
Now, we also heard them say that they thought that this was unfair. Well, coming up at 6, we'll show you why the Ebrons also think this is very racial and what the state attorney's office has to say about that. We're live at the courthouse. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
Jim, thank you. We now have several comments some of you shared with us on Facebook about Lana Barton's court proceedings. For example, let's take a look at Rianne Simmons. She says, sad. I am extremely saddened with our justice system for children. We need better laws to protect these babies and be their voices. Also, a comment here from Heather Stalvey Highouse. She says, seriously? Expletive is wrong with our judicial system. Unbelievable. And a lot of emojis expressing a sad face. And finally, we have Leah Stalvey, and she says, wow, justice was not served. Tom?
Thank you, Joy. Today's sentencing of Lana Barton is the conclusion of an investigation that began last summer. Lonzie Barton was last seen alive sometime on July 23rd, and Ruben Ebron reported the child missing early the following morning while Lonzie's mother was at work. On the 27th, Chief Tom Hackney revealed the child's disappearance is being investigated as a homicide. In early January, Lana Barton pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against Ebron. Several days later, Ebron led police to a wooded area in Bayard where he disposed of the toddler's body. Then last month, Ebron was sentenced to 20 years after pleading guilty to aggravated manslaughter in the child's death.